So, good afternoon, everyone. Let's start our class. I guess today we can have quite an interactive session. So, I guess you can unmute your mics, and if there's no background noise, of course, and we'll go into our class. Yeah. Today, I'm gonna be focusing quite a bit on questions. So, if you can tell me, Puneet, I think you were there in Sandy's class last week and the time before. Am I right? Okay. So, if you can unmute, I'm just going to unmute you. If you can tell me what are the key things that you learned in that class. Let's recap. Do you want to open the slides? Okay, so I'm going to open the slides on our Dropbox. Yes, I will do that as well. But I want to just recap on this particular one. So let's go to Sandy's class notes. So he did a class on the 3rd. Is that the one that you want to go through? Were you there on the 3rd? So IAS 19, IFRS 12, IFRS 2, right? These are the two key areas that you guys have covered. So can you tell me about IAS 19? Right. Anyone else? Yes, I can't hear you. You got to speak up. Sorry, I can't hear you. Anyone else? Other than Puneet, who can go take us through this? Yes. Hi, good Siat. How are you doing? You from where are you based? You from Bangladesh, is it? Right. Okay. Good. Okay. Yes. Right. Okay. Uh huh. Right. Right. I just want to look at the reason I'm asking about IFS 19 is because I want to apply it in a more strategic sense. So he's got you to explain the technicalities, right? And he wants you to apply that in a technical sense, your technical knowledge he's testing. But I want to see how we can apply it in a more strategic sense as well, not alone the technical aspect of it. One of you got a background noise. If you can mute it, please. If you can mute your mic. Right, thank you. Right. So, anyone can tell me a brief explanation about this particular IAS 19 employment post employment benefits, right? Anybody who can tell me about it? Mm-hmm. Yes. Yes. Yeah. So they're looking at post-employment, short-term termination, and other long-term. Yeah. And how you record it, and where do you want to record it? Where would you record this information? Mm-hmm. Yes. Yes. Mm-hmm. Right. Where would you record this? Will you put it in your financial statements and show it as a liability in your balance sheet? Or will you show it as the long-term benefits in particular, or the termination, you know? Would you include it? Yeah. Right. Right. So you will reflect that in your liabilities, plus you will have it as a note to the accounts, correct? Right. So one of the things that can take place, right, which is a very topical um, uh, thing right now, is about directors remuneration. Yeah. Just a couple of days ago, it was on BBC and CNN as well. They spoke about, these benefits as well as the huge remuneration packages that the directors get. And actually, it was on the one that I saw was on BBC, where they were criticizing it and saying, how can you justify this? And what is the impact and what influence can shareholders have on this, right? So that is more in, like, it's well and good that you represent this information in your financial statements and you as notes to the accounts as well, but it is a big issue that's taking place currently. Yeah. Where shareholders are quite upset with the way the whole thing is governed, because kind of they do not have the control, so to speak, on how to run these operations, particularly when it comes to directors remuneration. But there is. Mm-hmm. Good point. I want to ask someone else to give a different opinion. I want someone else to take the opposing stand and address that question that Ziad has asked. Because what you say is right, and it depends, right? It depends. So, is there anyone else who wants to discuss this with us? Can you see my screen? Oh, okay. That's why. Apologies. So, right, now you can see it, I guess. Right. Yep. Okay. So, Puneet, are you able to give us a different view from what Zaid mentioned just now? Mm-hmm. Okay, okay. Right. Okay. So, thank you. That's a question. Let's look at who else is there, who else I can call upon to answer us. So, if you can, I think, 1 second. So, Sarah, are you able to talk to us? Okay. Jakub, are you able to talk to us? Yeah. Hi, Jakub. Yes. Good. Thank you. Yes. Very well. Mm-hmm. Correct. The question is no. Now Ziad mentioned, right? Ziad mentioned. Well, the remuneration is decided by the board. Okay, so the board comprises of shareholders. Basically, that's what you mentioned, Ziad. Am I right? And what you said was, well, then why you, like, the shareholders should not be that bothered about it because you are represented in the board. Is that correct view, or is it, have you got a different view? Because this remuneration topic is important, because I have a feeling that you guys may get something on this, because even my strategic case study has quite a lot on remuneration, and there is an area where it talks about where the directors get a golden halo. That's at the beginning of their when they start off with a company, they get a huge sum of money, right? As well as at the time of them leaving, that's a golden parachute, right? They get that as well. So, I think there is this remuneration is going to be a topic that will be covered in one of the variants. I don't know what, but it may get covered. Right. Now, the first thing that Ziad mentioned was the board comprises of the shareholders, right? So, Ziad, in that sense, it is a yes and no, because imagine it's not, the directors may have shares in the company, right? So they are shareholders as well and employees of the company, but not necessarily that they are, all the time in favor of doing things for the benefit of the shareholders, right? Now, the shareholders in this case, the interview that I heard, the shareholders are quite upset with the directors of certain companies because they're getting fancy salaries and fancy bonuses. However, there are people being laid off, okay, at the same time. So, they question, how can you be an effective, efficient leader and taking the company to that next level, and then you have, and stating that you're getting paid so much, plus you're retrenching some of your staff, and there's huge amounts of employees that's let go of. Plus, there are other issues that's happening. For example, even with BP, right? They brought in BP as an example, right? So that is one angle where you say, well, the shareholders are not really represented in the board, because you get it's a difficult difficult thing to manage because all shareholders, I mean, shareholders would be all over the place. So how can they come together and perform that, because they're not running the company. Okay, that's one. And the other one is with regards to non-executive directors. Now, in order for you to have a very good governance, they bring in non-executive directors, especially to be in this remuneration committee. What role do they perform? The NEDs. Right. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Right. Now, provided they are unbiased. Correct? Yes. Now, what about our NEDs? How are they? The non-executive directors that we have got, are they unbiased, or do you think they are biased? They may be biased. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Right. Yes. Very good. Now, the thing with my other case study, the strategic case study, if I look at the NEDs, the composition of the NEDs, they've got 8 or 9 NEDs in their board, right? Which is great. They've got lots of committees as well. But one of the issues that they've got is all these NEDs have worked in the company and in some time or the other. So they will be heavily biased towards the decisions they make. Yeah. So again, even though you have a NED, a committee of people there, you have that for governance. You say, right, we've got a board of non-executive directors. They're there. We've got all these committees going on. However, you need to understand the composition and actually what experiences these guys have, where do they come from as well, because they could be totally biased. Yeah. Yeah, sure. Mm-hmm. Right. Mm-hmm. 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 Right. So what you're saying is they're the founders of the company? Right, depending on the shareholding that they have as well, right? So what, even though you're a founder, you can get kicked out of the company. I mean, like what happened to Steve Jobs, right? It doesn't matter. Even if you're a founder of the company, it's just you have a shareholding, so that's it. That's all that you've got. So the influence, it depends on the kind of influence that you can, you can bring in. However, you're right in the sense that's why we have a committee, so it's not just one person deciding on something, on the remuneration, but it's a group of people. In this case, when it comes to remuneration, what would be the ideal way, right? That if you're giving something to the directors, a large sum of money, how would you go about it at the time of, because large sums of money will be given at the time of entry, exit, sometimes during the tenure of the director as well. So how do you think that they should kind of provide this remuneration? Any ideas? Mm-hmm. Right. Mm-hmm. 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 Right. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Right. Okay. So, yeah. Yeah, sure. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah. So you're saying yeah, right. Comparing with anybody who's in the market as well in the same kind of industry. What about clear KPIs related to their performance? Right. That seems to be the problem. Yeah. So. Mm-hmm. 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 Yeah, that's the theoretical side of it, isn't it, Zed? Because you see a lot of, you see that there are lots of times where people and the CEOs or the directors are given very good bonuses, and the company is not doing well. So how did they achieve that, right? Um, mm-hmm. 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 So you can see, yeah, you can see there's a bit of a debate going on here, right? So very difficult to come to an answer. So it is very easy to look at the technical side actually, but when you look at it in a more strategic sense, you start going through, there's a debate that goes on, and you come to face an issue where saying, what is the best way to move through this? Because the way that companies can attract good talent is by offering good remuneration packages. I mean, that is one of the key things. But then again, how it is, how the performances are linked to the remuneration is another question, and the ethical aspect, like you correctly said, how does that play the part, right? So, right. Correct, because that question is a very difficult one when you say about laying people off. because it does not end with one transaction, right? It has a domino effect. Correct. Correct. So I think it was Jaguar, which is, yes, Jaguar is owned by Tata now. Correct. So are there any Indian students here? Yeah. Okay. So Puneet, you know about the Jaguar and the Tata deal that's going on? Right. So what happened there was they were going to close down the operations in the UK, right? And then the government of UK went to India and to meet up with the Tata owners and the board and to convince them that they should not close it, right? Because it becomes a very very difficult thing because it impacts the whole economy, right? In that particular area there are other, I mean, others also linked to it, the suppliers, etc., etc. So it is going to impact not just that employee but the, in effect, the whole society in that country, right? So in one way or the other. So this is the reason why it's not a very easy decision to terminate employees on the basis of redundancy, unless you as a company have got a very good redundancy kind of a roadmap and saying how you're going to redeploy these employees. Anyone who's gone through in an organization, who's seen this redundancy happening and how that particular organization behaved and the policies they have? Right. Mm-hmm. Right. So there was no redundancies during that time, was it? Right. Right. Okay. Okay. Anyone else? Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Very good point. Yes. Exactly. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Yes. Yes. That's very true. Yes. That's yeah. So this is part of the corporate governance that you're talking about, isn't it? You're linking it to that. Yeah, you're alluding to the good corporate governance. Yes. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yes. Yes. Mm-hmm. So, guys, in this case, what do you recommend? How do you go about it? Because we have to have the short term, something short term linked to the long term, right? These guys, the decision makers, are making strategic long term decisions. But then, what do you think? How do you think we need to go about it? Mm-hmm. Anyone else? Mm-hmm. 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 For example? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So what type of model would you be using then? Oh yes, you walked right into it. Yeah. So, guys, I hope you realize what I was trying to do. I took a very technical subject, technical topic, and I wanted you to look at the more strategic side of it and a different angle, and tell me, what's it? Because if you had you got a question on this, yes, all the technical side of it, but the other side of it, it's difficult for you. You would not know how to answer, right? I hope you got the gist of it, because this is a very very important area. Yeah. Then yes. 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 Mm-hmm. Right. Yes. Mm-hmm. It depends on what role you're performing, isn't it? Yeah, because if you are, let's say, depending on your role, you're looking after, let's say, one particular area, it might not be the customer facing side, right? If you are, let's say, a finance person, who is your customer, right? Because what you're going to give will be the other party, that party will be able to perform their role better, isn't it? Mm-hmm. 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 Yeah. Yeah. Anyone else? What about innovation? So in the balance scorecard, you get many areas, like 4 quadrants. So I think we will pose a question on that where you guys can do some research and answer that. I think it's worthwhile doing it because we will link the IAS 19 to that of balance scorecard and to a more strategic topic and see how we go about it. Yeah. Then let's go into IFRS 2. What does that say? Yes. So, what are the other guys think? Where do you think it'll come through? Anyone? Mm. 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 So it's all encompassing, right? So it's kind of an overarching thing when it comes to ethics and sustainability. Mm. 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 It is certainly, if you're asking that question, it is certainly part of it because you not only these 4 quadrants, you need to consider those 2 other areas as well because whatever that you do need to be, of course, they have to be ethical as well as you. I mean, you can't achieve any one of those not being ethical, right? And then you also look at the sustainability side of it and say, if you're a good corporate citizen, what are the things that you have to do, because you can't say I'm going to achieve profitability at the expense of, I really don't care, I treat my staff badly, I pay them less, I don't care about the suppliers, I pay them very little money, but however my profitability is fantastic, right? Gone are those days where this can happen. Yeah. So now all the companies, even though they don't need to supply at times, they don't need to supply the sustainability reports and the ethical sustainability reports, still they provide that in great detail to showcase to the stakeholders this is what we do to society in a positive sense. right? So uh, you can put in learning and growth. It's not just, but it can come everywhere in any uh, quadrant. Yeah. So what about IFRS 2? Mm-hmm. Right. Mm-hmm. Right. So what are the advantages and disadvantages in this? Mm-hmm. 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 Yeah. Mm-hmm. Right. So what you're saying is by refraining from giving them cash straight away, you're able to, have a good cash position, right? Your cash flow is going to be good. But by giving the shares to the employees, you also make them more committed and work with the company. So, with IC Opticals, where do you think we should be going? Uh, what about their cash position currently? How is their cash flow look like? But the cash position, how does it look like? Right. How about their debt? What's the debt to equity ratio? Right. Okay. So they have, we would say that there is sufficient cash, and also it depends on what type of investment that they're planning on doing, isn't it? So, if you're, sorry, does anybody want to say something? So, I'm looking at it. What's the number of employees they've got? Right. So the thing is, if it is not huge amounts of employees, right? What they can do is basically, you're looking at, should I pay cash or should I pay in shares, right? The cash and share business, you will be looking at it to say, what are the things that I do with the cash, right? What are the alternate investments that I've got? So yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. 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 So all what I'm looking at it is, I'm looking at the option, what can we do with, if I retain my cash and give them shares, right? So that's the only thing that I'm looking at, because even giving them shares, there are other commitments, right? That means the dividends is there. Correct, correct. Dilution of shares is there. So there are, this is not, there are other repercussions for, once you issue shares. Right? Any other questions from this? Exactly. Yes. Yeah. That's right. Yeah. Again, it depends. I'm giving a very like a accountant's answer, right? And saying, well, it depends, right? Because it depends what type of question is posed to you at that point in time. However, when you're answering, if you're prepared with answering much more than just the transactional basis, right, you will get marks, because suddenly, the examiner sees that you have thought of different angles, to this particular question, not just one side of it. Okay, right, any other questions? Otherwise, I'm going into the Dropbox to have a look at our big data question. Yeah, yeah, I know that. Let me go to the Dropbox and then I will write. I think you would have missed about 2 classes. Yeah, I am having a problem with this up. Yeah, so I have given the the YouTube one, right, where you can watch it. Yeah, I have been having some issues trying to upload this information to YouTube, but hopefully it will get sorted in the few these 2 days. But even what I'm doing just now, it's getting recorded because there are people that who've not attended or you want to listen to it again. So let me big data question. So the question is about let me 1 second go and open the answers that you guys have provided. 2 people have submitted their answers, I think. Yeah, Ziad has submitted, as well as, yeah. So I'll just, Ziad, if you don't mind, I'm gonna open your answer and we will critique it, and I will look at the other students as well. Correct. Yeah. I think you guys can see it now. Right. So give me your logic and the way you answered it first, Ziad. Mm-hmm. 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 Right. Okay. So what you're saying, understanding consumer preference and formulating strategy, right? Better understanding of target market and augmenting services as expected. Devise future marketing strategy, right? And anything else others want to add here? How would they critique this one? The first part. Yakub, what do you think? Mm-hmm. 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 Right. So the focus here is I want to look at the first question. We say why big data? Why do we need it? I would have liked if you had just described in a couple of sentences. Your answer is really good. A couple of sentences. What is big data? Not a lot. So if you ask the question, what is big data, and you write 500 words, that's not going to earn you much points, right? But just to say, give context to state this is what a big data is. It's internal, external data. It's got the three V's that's linked to it: volume, variety, and the other V escapes me. All that is included. So that's just in one sentence that you mention. And then you have structured it very well. Your structure is very good because it's easy for the examiner. Guys, one of the things that you have to be very, very clear is, imagine yourself, you're going to be reading and marking about 100 at least papers, right? And if you're going to get papers where it's not structured very well, now in this case, yeah, that's provided those paragraphs, given some space. This is really important, this structuring, because it's easy for the examiner. So try to make things easy for the examiner, because he or she is looking to give you points, but you need to give the person the opportunity to see those points, right? Which he's done. Yeah. Mm-hmm. 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 So let's do it this the logic, right? How many questions have they asked in this one, in this particular one? They've asked two clear questions, right? Two questions. Now if it's 30 minutes, right, how much time do you have? Right? So and how many marks do you get? So depending on the marks, right? So you can see how I'm going. You got X amount of marks for a 30-minute question. So it's, let's say, it's a 3-hour paper, 100 marks, right? Then how many do you get? Right? If it's 40 minutes, accordingly you will get, right, proportionately. Then you separate this. If you have, let's say you wrote 20 minutes on big data and 10 minutes on the value chain, you will fail, okay, because you have only focused on one area and you're not focused on the other. Obviously the examiner is looking for equal marks in this case, right? And in big data, then if it's, let's pretend it's only 15 minutes that you have to focus on, right? Then you put in some of the, just don't write on just, let's say, understanding consumer preference and formulating a strategy. I can write a book on this, but if you do so, again, it's just, a couple of points. So you need to give many points as possible, right? If you think, yes, I can put 5 points there on this, but within that time frame, do that. Is it clear for everybody? Because this is the way, passing the exam is a technique. It's not that you don't know the stuff, it's just a technique, that's all. As long as you know the technique, you'll pass the exam. So I'm glad you asked that question. Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. That's exactly what I said. Now, just the first point, yeah, go on. Correct. So for example, in this, okay, uh, how long did you take Zia to write this answer? Right. So now you should be focusing on actually reducing the time. And now let's look at timing your answers as well, right? Because that's the key. Um, you can, I mean, like I said, the first point itself is something that you can write a thesis on, right? But then that is the art they're looking at. Well, can this person bring in, let's say, 5 points for big data and keep it to time, right? If you wrote 1 point for half an hour on big data and you have not written 3 points, but that 1 point is perfect, again you will fail because you have only written 1 point. So, from an examiner perspective, he can only see, well, you've just written 1 point, right? Is that clear? Yeah. So, how about this? How we can use in value chain? Anyone else who attempted this question, can you give me your view on that? Yes. Is it, sorry, 1 second. Is it saved in our Dropbox? Okay, I'm gonna open it. Right. Okay. Okay. Mm-hmm. Let's look at your one. So what you're saying is big data can have a direct and relevant effect on improving our value chain. We will be in a position to make both direct indirect decisions on whether we should increase the number of working hours, what kind of return we could expect, and the ROI. There has been significant increase in demand of the contact lenses getting cost effective and laser surgery being expensive, which is a common alternative to glasses. We will also be utilizing the relevant information provided for only in the core business of glasses, but also into the expansion into fashion industry. Now, I'm going to stop there and go into what Ziad has written, so that I can make a direct. You guys can also make a direct comparison. Guys, if you can mute your mic, please, if you don't mind. Now, in Ziad's answer, he's written understanding value added and non-value added activities, right? All because all the services we provide to the consumer goes through value chain, right? And then the big data can help to eliminate non-value added activities and to focus more on value added activities to optimize costs. Insight about outsourcing and sales services. What does that mean? We may be using our own transport. Big data may give us information that other companies are doing. Should we need to outsource our delivery, right? And service quality improvement. We feel that we are providing adequate quality services to customers. Do customers value us the same way? Are we leading the market in terms of delivery, lagging behind the competitor? All the information can be transmitted to us through big data, right? Are we trending in the market in terms of sales, the style, how our after sales service is rated compared to other companies? Now, who did the other answer? Who provided the other answer? That's saved. Puneet? You provided the other answer, isn't it? Right. Now tell me the difference between this particular answer that Ziad has provided and yours. What would you be doing to improve it? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. If you were the examiner, what do you think that how would you evaluate this answer? Because he's giving points, isn't it? Right? So I can see very clearly that he's spoken about understanding value added, non value added activities. This is the core of the value chain. So he's tackling that. Then he talks about outsourcing, right? And the customer service. Yeah. I really like the way he's done it because he's focusing on each area and he's easily scoring marks here, right? Because otherwise it's difficult to score marks if you just talk in general what is value chain and a generic answer. Okay, so you have to be careful in that sense. Ziad, what made you answer like this? What's the reasoning? Yeah. Mm-hmm. 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 Right. Right. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So one of the things that you can do, I mean, this is pretty good, but what another thing that you guys can do is to kind of do some research on the value chain of opticals, in that particular industry, the value chain, right? Because that's there, and it's something that we need to research on. Is that clear? Right? So then you can, what about the others who has done any other, you want to share with us? You can share the screen with us. Yakub, did you attempt this? Okay, all right, okay. Okay, so what about I think Sarah, are you there? Sarah, are you in a position to talk to us? So 1 second, let's see who have we got here. So Sarah, are you in a position to talk to us? Let me unmute you. No, mic is not working still. Okay, fine. Right. So what I would like you to do is actually get that fixed so that when we in our future classes we can have a really good discussion. Yeah. So having said that, now I want to go to a question. I will give you about 15 minutes in this, right? What I want you to do is actually pause the do the structure, and whatever that you can add it into this. So the structure and a little bit more I want you to add. Okay, so I'm looking at now, it's for me it's about 3:10, so in about 10 minutes I won't say 15 minutes. 15 minutes is a bit too much. 10 minutes I'll come back to you. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is share the screen with you and show you this question. If you have to look at your books, that's fine, but I need a answer for this one. 1 second, please. You can upload the answer. I think that'll be better. So in the meantime, what you can also do is share your screen with us and we can go through that answer. Puneet, you have finished? Can we, if so, can we start with you? Okay, so you can go to not the video, you go to the left hand corner, you could see on top there is share, or in the screen in front of your WebEx itself you get quick start. The next one is, the next icon is share. Can you see that? Yeah, correct, that's the one. Do that. Yeah, perfect. Yeah, it's coming through. Yes. So if you can go through your, how you constructed it. Yes, good. Mm-hmm. 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 Okay. Right. Another thing that you need to do is, I mean, I said this is just a draft, an answer plan. What you need to also include is a conclusion. Okay. Always provide a conclusion because that's what they're expecting. Can we go to good? It's a good answer. So let's go to the others as well. Yakub, have you got yours? Yeah, Yakub can just take it from you. That's not a problem. So you don't have to do anything. Okay, I think he's having problem. Ziad, are you able to share? Ziad? Yeah, Ziad. Yeah, that's it. Perfect. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Right. So again, Ziad, do you want to talk us through this? What you want to emphasize? Mm-hmm. 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 Right. Okay. So if you can go down, scroll down a bit more. Right. Okay. Only these 2 points. We meet the requirements. We need to the requirements. Okay. Prepare lenses is done through labor efforts. Right. So one of your conditions, you informed what it is, which is good. You said at the beginning very briefly, this is what learning curve is. We learned from the previous, so this is what happens. Since you did your previous answer and there's feedback given, now you added on this. You also stated the 3 conditions, right, that's needed. Now another one that we need to state is currently we don't know to what extent the thing is automated, right? The processes are automated. Now if the processes are automated, then you're not going to get this learning curve benefits, right? So that's a point to note. The other one is the motivation of staff, right? So if it yes, yeah, correct, we don't know, and that's why that that we are saying, since we don't know, we have to assume, right? We have to state that fact, saying we are not aware based on what is given. It's not stated whether it's highly highly automated or not, right? So we have to state, saying in the event if we think it is not highly automated, then there is evidence to say that we certainly can have the advantages of learning curve, right? However, other things to consider are motivation, staff motivation, right? If you can put your mics on mute, please. Yeah, thank you. So the other thing that needs to be considered is the staff motivation, which I mentioned just now, as well as, if the staff has been there for some time, let's say a few years with you, they are not new staff, well, the effect of learning curve is not that much, right? Unless they are moving from one job to the other at a very frequent times. The people have they are well trained, okay, and they know the job, so that the positive impact of learning curve is limited here, right? So the conditions that you have to meet are correct, but also take into consideration what we just mentioned. Yeah, Jakub, anything from you? It's okay if you can. Yeah, all right, okay, but you can talk to us. What did you read, and did you write any points? Mm-hmm. So where did you, sorry, Ziad, where did you get these points from? Yes, right. It is learning curve is a model that's there, and there's calculations that you can be done as well, right? These learning curve calculations would have been done in when you're doing the operational stages, right? But you moved away from that stage now, thankfully. So in this case, you're interpreting and also stating the applications of learning curve, right? So in this, they state very clearly there are certain criteria that you have to meet, right, for learning curve. And in this case, again, learning curve is applicable because we are in a manufacturing industry. Yeah. Not so much in a service industry, it is not that much, but in a manufacturing, yes, because it's a repetitive thing that you've got to be doing. However, more and more automation is happening. So if you're pushing more into automation, then the learning curve impact is not there, and that's what we don't know. Okay. And another thing that needs to be considered if is, well, if you're looking at changing your products in a constant fashion, then are we looking at automation? Is it better? Or is our other thing to consider is our cost, labor cost, because maybe if our labor cost is very low, right, it might be better to have the labor, and we can absorb that the time that they take to learn, rather than the heavy investment into IT. Yeah. Any other questions on this learning curve? Yes. Mm-hmm. Correct. Correct. Yes. Yes. So if you don't know it, what would be the way for you to state? How would you state it? So the thing is, what you will do is to carry out a study, and you will propose. Now, the question is there a benefit in doing this learning curve analysis and trying to analyze it and saying, are there benefits in adapting? So, really, even you as an accountant in the head office, right, you might not know all the processes, right? In that case, what we can do is to say, yeah, we can look at we can carry out a study to understand what are the manual processes that are there, right? When you're trying to do the manual processes, not only that, but also another factor to be considered is how long the employees have been there. If it is manual processes, how long the employees have been there, right? If no, first we are saying you need to take an analysis, you need to do an analysis, right? We don't know. So if we don't know something, right, then we can say we have to do a study, right? First, we have to do a study to understand, because you would have come to this IC Opticals last month. You don't know, I mean, we don't know, right? And because now I'm trying to create a platform where in the sense how to answer this question, right? Certain things you don't know, either you can make an assumption and state, I assume that most processes are either manual. Okay, because why am I assuming that? Because my factories are based in very low wage countries, right? That is the reason why I'm assuming. Okay, so based on that, yeah, so I'm just giving a generic answer, right? So whatever way, because one of the things that we had to do even when I was doing the exams was, they said certain thing, you don't get all the information, so but you can make assumptions. However, if you make an assumption, you need to state it in your answer, because the examiner cannot read your mind. right? So if you say this is my assumption and based on this assumption I'm taking this route, that's fine. So he can see the logic behind it, right? But if you just have it in your mind and you just go at a tangent, he's saying, how on earth did you get this? On what basis? Mm-hmm. No, because it depends, Ziad, because if they give you in your pre-seen, your unseen material, if they give you sufficient information to state, well, 80% or 50% of this thing is carried out manually, right? There's no automation. They give a lot of data. If they give that, then you have this you have information to back. Yeah, if it is not there, then how do you answer? Because, correct, if you're given the information, well and good, well, no problem, right? What if they don't give you? Then what do you do? Right? Then you need to come up with some imaginary thing and say, right, we are not we since this particular area, we need to provide do a thorough analysis, a thorough study to understand this. But what she's asking is there a benefit or not with our going through this learning curve? There is, but we need to meet certain conditions. Correct, we need to meet certain conditions, and as well as there has to be, when it comes to employees, you need to think of how motivated they're. I mean, they might be new employees but they're not motivated, right? So then what? That's also a problem. So you need to consider that aspect as well, the human side of it as well, to see how motivated they are to actually learn. Right. So have you got KPIs linked to that? Is there remuneration linked to that? So is the remuneration linked to drive performance in such a way that they will accelerate the learning curve? Because say, for example, somebody is paid per hourly basis as opposed to somebody is paid on output basis, right? Who is going to perform the most in an effective manner, right? The person who's paid on the output basis will definitely put in a lot of effort to learn. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yes, I will. Yeah, I will. Yeah, I will tell Sandy as well. Yes. Yeah. Yes, but the first thing is I wait for you to put in the answers, because it's pointless me giving you anything. Yeah. Yes. Correct. Because there's a lot of effort going in for these question answers, and so I need to see the other party response as well. Right, because if not, you're just it's a waste of time, and even for you personally it's difficult for you to pass the exams. Right. Let us do another question and we will stop with that question, and I again give you 10 minutes. In this case, I think you may have to refer to some of your technical areas, the F2. So you can refer to the F2. Go into those the books. Yeah, 1 second. Hi, you're able to finish it? Can you hear me? Right, okay. Puneet, do you want to share your screen with us? We'll start with you. Right, okay. Okay, Yakub, have you done anything? Okay, right, okay, right. Okay, okay. Ziad, I just want to. Sorry, okay, go on. Mm-hmm, 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 mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, so let us wait. Ziad, I just want to find out from you, did you write anything? Okay, fine. That's fine. Yeah. Okay, that's fine. That's what we are all there for, to start, do the question. So, write something prior to the exam. Yeah. So, when they give like something like this, right? They give a lot, I didn't give a lot of detail here, as but they can elaborate, they can say all kinds of things into that question. But the crux of the matter is they're asking two things, correct? What are they asking? The first one is is yeah. So they're asking whether we can, in our consolidation, can we include, should we include lens care? Is it already included? I'm not sure, right? That's one area that they're asking. Okay. Mm-hmm. I beg your pardon? Correct, right? So in this case, they're acquiring vision care, and that's 80% acquisition. So obviously, they have controlling interest, right? And then their vision care themselves have got lens care, and lens care, they vision care owes 75% of lens care. Yeah. So in that sense, what we're saying is, well, if vision care owes 75%, how much would IC Optical own of lens care? Correct, right? So that's again controlling interest, isn't it? Yeah, correct, correct. So these are the fundamental questions that they're asking you, just to see that you understand the concepts of consolidation, right? And correct, correct. Yeah. And then we talk about, then what's the other question that they're asking us? Yeah. So what do you think of this? Because they're saying Vision Care acquired 75% of the equity of Lens Care on 1st of May 2015 for a consolidation of 87 million. So does it bother us? Correct. Correct. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So in this case, anything from the IFRS, if you're looking at that, if the IFRS you're looking at that, is there anything there that you want to bring in to the discussion? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Right. So there will be some adjustment, right? Yeah. So if our financial period is from April to March and we acquire these guys on the 1st of May, there's some adjustments there. Okay, that's fine. So our period of reporting would be less than, it's just 11 months, correct? Not 12 months. And is there anything else that you have to, from an IFRS perspective, is there anything that you need to mention here? Yeah. Okay. So what would you highlight here? Anything specific? Right. Okay. So I'm really making you work hard today, right? Not giving you enough time to relax. Right. So it exactly, you can pass it, right? So the idea is now, while you look for that IFRS thing, what I would like you to do is to provide full answers, uh, taking about 40 minutes, right, for the learning curve as well as the acquisition question. And if you can upload these into the Dropbox, right, time your answers, be very strict with yourself, and do these questions, right? Because then then we know we've finished one area, we're moving to the others, and there is progression, right? If you think you've taken too long, that's also a learning, because the next time you do it, it's a learning curve, you will improve, right? And your typing skills have to be very fast as well, because once you finish a question, if it's 1 hour, it's 40 minutes that they've given, it'll just move to the next one, right? Any other things that we need to talk about before we wrap up? Correct. Correct, I believe. Yes, I think, yeah, because I've given you the, so tomorrow, my classes, how I'm going to be doing, so that I can just tell you what we will cover, is I need to cover with you the industry analysis, right? I will also, so even though we're covering industry, can you put it on mute, please, your mic? Thank you. So even though we have our industry analysis, right throughout the classes I will be posing questions to you, right? I will have questions coming on the Dropbox, as well as I'm going to have questions like this, 2 or 3 questions coming in class, right? So that we do a lot of questions in the class as much as possible. Yeah. And industry analysis is one that I need to cover. I will cover with you the risk. Maybe Sandy also may cover. I'll touch base with him and find out. And another one that I need to cover with you would be financials. Okay. Is there any other questions that you need to ask me? And if there is any other areas that you want me to cover, what I will do, if you can put it in your chat, and or if you can email me, that'll be great. Okay. Okay, right. So franchising. Mm-hmm. What we did just now. Right. I'll have to go into the textbook and give you the specific areas. Right. So if you can put that in the chat box, please, so that I have a record of what you're asking. And I know exactly who's asked this question, but whoever asks, I'm going to put it in the Dropbox. So if you can put in the chat box what exactly that you want. So one is franchising, one is about the acquisitions that we've done, where you can get more information. Anything else? Okay, so what we will do is we'll finish for today till we meet again. And I'm going to have some questions tonight for you. And I expect some answers coming through as well. Okay.